Welcome into the Channel Tennessee podcast. It is September the 25th, the year 2024. Tennessee moves up to number 4 in the college football top 25 poll. The top 25 poll was shaken up this weekend by some upsets. The Vols head to Fayetteville, Arkansas this weekend for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. The Vols are a 13.5-point favorite as we speak on this podcast. Fellas, we had a bye week. We got to sit back and enjoy watching other football teams beat the absolute hell out of each other. Watching Alabama and Georgia beat the absolute hell out of each other. What a damn game. What a damn weekend. Football is just such a – gotta love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. But, again, welcome in to the Channel City podcast. I'm your host, Rady, alongside DR Vol, Austin, and our good friend Byron Moore. Vol for life. Byron Moore is here to hop on here and give us his input about college football this season so far. Maybe we'll get into some Derek Dooley talk, some play over the years of when he played. But how we doing, guys? How we doing, Byron?
Doing good. Loving the time of the year when football is back on. From Thursday to Sunday, or Thursday to Monday. So life is good right now.
Austin, how you doing, bud?
Oh, just never better, man. Tennessee's number 4 in the country, and that's not normal. Yeah, so I grew up in days where that wasn't the case, so I'm really loving that. But pretty good.
DR, what's up?
Not much, man. Just enjoying watching, like you said, Bama and Georgia beat up on each other, and opposing fan bases hate us so much, talking about how we haven't played anybody, even though we have drilled everybody we played. You know, it's never enough with these fan bases. And Byron, I can't imagine what you've heard playing, but it's like back in the day, it's like, oh, y'all getting drilled by 40. Now we're beating ranked teams by multiple scores. It's like, y'all haven't played anybody. So what do y'all want from us? I mean, you want us to go out there and beat them 100-0?
Yeah.
Hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool, Byron, because you're a former defensive player for Tennessee. What years you play? 2000, was it 13? 12, 13?
11, 12, and 13, yeah.
11, 12, and 13. So you played for Dooley and Butch as well, right? Yeah.
By brick.
Yeah. So I want to get into that a little bit later of playing for both of those coaches. But right now, I kind of want to break down of what happened this weekend. Alabama, Georgia. You had Ole Miss dropping a loss to Kentucky. But let's dive in first to the Georgia Alabama game, because that was an insane game to watch. I put $1 on betting for Georgia to come back when Alabama scored their 28th point of the game. And damn it, I almost won $100 off of $1. But Byron, I want to get your take on just how it is now, like Tennessee being ranked number 4, kind of how we said, like Austin said a minute ago, like this isn't the football I grew up with. And now we're here at number 4 in the country, right behind Ohio State, Texas, and Alabama. But Byron, I kind of want to get your take on this weekend, man.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend, definitely. Like you said, that one last night was wild. I was telling everybody asked me which way I think it was going. I was like, I think it's going either way. So when Bama came out hot in the beginning, I'm like, well, looks like this one's over. But Georgia being Georgia, and the Kirby Smart being who he is, and the competitive nature and what's instilled in him is, you can almost believe why they came back, because they wasn't going to just lay down. So that's what you go to the SEC for those big games. And they preach all the time. It's a fourth quarter sport. Get it to the fourth quarter, anything can happen. So kudos to Georgia for almost pulling it off, but definitely was a fun one to watch as a fan.
Do you think real quick, DR, do you think Byron, that Georgia kind of exposed Alabama's offense in that second half? Like, do you think, because Alabama. I was on here talking to Austin before we all got on here, and I feel like Alabama is kind of a one-trick pony, and kind of Georgia kind of exposed them in the second half with all the end arounds and Milroe running the ball a bunch. Do you think teams will start to kind of take that philosophy of what Georgia kind of did in the second half?
I think they'll take the philosophy, but I think it's still going to be hard because everybody don't got them dogs that Georgia got. So I don't think it's when you. I mean, for me personally, when you look at the games, we see what's going on. You can see the philosophy pretty quickly early on what the scheme is going to be, but you got to line up man on man and make the play at the end of the day. So that's the difference when you got 5 stars, 4 stars across the board, trying to stop Jalen Milroe and all those weapons that Alabama does have. It's a lot easier said than done. Even when you can pretty much see what they're trying to do to attack you, you still got to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of those weapons, that Ryan Williams kid. As noted by the broadcast, 900 times, he was born in 2007, and he's doing all that. It's sickening, but God bless that kid. Looks like he could be the next Julio Jones.
Yeah,
I don't even think Julio Jones. Like I've never seen he kind of reminded me of a Reggie Bush at wide receiver. Like he reminded me of a guy that just has so many moves and different types of. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that last one, them 2 spins, I was like, how do you even think of that?
It looked like it was in slow motion.
So natural.
But it was so fast. It was crazy. But yeah, man, that was one of the most entertaining games so far this season, of course.
It was kind of weird though watching it from a Tennessee's fan perspective because you're watching it and you're kind of scouting for your game against them too. You're like, "Ooh, Bama looks a little better than I thought."
Yeah,
but that Georgia defense though. And then you're like, "Oh crap, they're both good." But I don't know. I still feel like we should beat Bama because it's in Neyland, and a lot of that is about the environment. When you walk into those kind of environments, and you would know better than we would, but it's a whole different game when it's on the road, especially in the SEC. And I feel like that was a lot of what Georgia was dealing with at Carson Beck. He seemed like his head was everywhere.
Oh yeah. On the road is no joke. It's definitely hostile and it's definitely different.
Okay, so
while we're
go ahead.
While we're on that, Byron, I'm very curious about this. When you played at Tennessee, what was the hardest road environment you played at?
Let's see. I would say probably my first year we went down there and played Alabama. That's when they had Trent, and I would say in Florida just because the field sucks down there. And where else? When that year we went down to Oregon, that was a pretty hostile just because the way their stadium's set up, the fans is literally right on top of you on the sideline.
Yeah, they got that. Oregon's got that boat shaped bowl, and so the sound kind of stays right into you. So so when Tennessee travels to, did you went to Arkansas, right? You went, yeah. So Tennessee travels to Arkansas this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Tennessee's a 13.5-point favorite. Do you think that road environment is going to really affect Nico? Because Nico he's such a calm, just chill dude. And he's kind of reminds me of Casey Kloss a little bit, where he just kind of is nothing really gets in his head much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a big advantage for Tennessee though, when you have a quarterback like that is just so calm and collective, and I feel like the whole team kind of gravitates towards that mindset, even the defense. And I want to get your thoughts on defense in here in a little bit, but when Tennessee goes to Arkansas, do you think that do you think Nico is going to have an effect? I mean, he went to Oklahoma, which is a lot more, probably. Mm-hmm. But Arkansas is no joke.
Those people are crazy.
They're crazy. they're crazy.
I would not disrespect. I will say Oklahoma people are great, but they are not as crazy as Arkansas fans because those people are desperate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does make a big difference. I think Nico had, seeing him how he handled Oklahoma was definitely, I think, like you said, it builds the confidence amongst the team, and everybody feeds off that when you're the guy of the face basically of the offense right now is handling it the way he's handling it. That just puts everybody else's nerves at ease, and they're like, all right, Nico's cool. Let's go ball. So it definitely makes a difference when your top guys on the team is able to go out and keep that level head and just business as usual and focus on the play. Yeah, probably the pregame is probably the most really as a player the most emotional that you feel because everybody's getting amped up. You're ready to run out and get ready, but really once kickoff goes, it's you get pretty settled in pretty fast and just it's all you focus is on what you see on the field. It's times depending on how the game flow is going where the crowd can be an impact, but for the most part even when we was playing at home, it's almost like you just zone out and all you really see is what's going on the field.
Yeah. So like I remember when I played sports. I mean, I never played sports to the caliber you did, with the crowds you did, but it almost like I blocked out the noise, and you're just kind of seeing a guy right in front of you. But when you're in an environment like that, does a noise really affect you like a lot? Like can you? I hear a lot of people saying like the Oklahoma in 2000. What year did Oklahoma come to us, Austin? 14?
15. It was 15.
2015. The Oklahoma players were like, that is the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. But they still beat us. They still beat Tennessee. Does that really have an effect, like, of you trying to communicate with people? And does that really throw things off? Because I know, like, we play, like, we're just fans, and we play, like, NCAA football, and the pressure meter is going crazy. Like, is that real? Like,
like, now, from an offensive standpoint, yeah, I'm sure it makes.
You're on defense though.
Yeah, so. it makes a little bit of impact, but I mean that's what you got all your signs and you work on it throughout the week. They're blaring music on the field at practice, so you got all your hand signals. So for the most part, you're just playing loud. It's almost like if you're working out with headphones blasting the music in your ear, you're still lifting your weights. So it's just being in a loud environment, but you still. I don't know how to really explain it. Still, is on the field. You're playing the man in front of you, basically.
Well, for you, it might be a little weird because, like, when it's most loud for you, would have been at home because you're on defense. So that's actually unique. So you get to experience.
Yeah, our fans are trying to be loud while their team's on offense, which it would throw us off a little bit because I'm trying to scream to the corners, hey, over here, check. But like I said, you just rely on your hand signals. But it's not like, hey, we lost this game because it was just too loud. That'll never be the case.
Have you? When was the last time you went to Neyland?
I went back. I have, to be honest, I haven't actually been to like 4 games since I played, but I've been back to different spring games.
Dang. You gotta get back for one of these ones.
I know,
you got some big ones coming up, man.
I don't do crowds well. I'm used to getting escorted into Neyland and front row seat.
Where are you at
like
now,
dealing
Byron?
with parking and all that.
Where are you at now? Are you back in California?
No, I'm in Nashville area.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Awesome. Where you gotta get down here.
Yeah.
I was about to say from Cali, I'd understand, but like,
nah, I stuck around.
Down the road.
I stuck around. So I was in Knoxville for a few years, then I bounced around with work, moving around.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm in Nashville, settled now. I've been here for going on about 2 years now.
Quick question: where do you live in Nashville?
Hendersonville area.
Oh, okay, I just moved from Franklin, Tennessee to Knoxville. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're not too far from me, but
yeah, everybody always tells me when you coming back, you need to get down here. It's a lot. I enjoy watching from the house and being able to flip the channels and see all the games.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like when a Saturday ends and you were at the stadium all day, you're like, I don't know what happened. The other games, that looked like that's a crazy score, man. I wish I knew what happened.
I am kind of like you, Byron. I do kind of like sitting on the couch and just watching like every single game. I mean, I got season tickets to the Vols, but at the same time, it's like I like when we have a bye week.
Yeah,
I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. I'm about to sit on my ass all day and watch every game. It's gonna be glorious.
I got the grills going. I mean, that's been my new hobby, getting into barbecues. I'll be having the grills going and throwing some meat on and just enjoying the day.
I get that. I get that. But let's real quick roll through this top 25. Alabama, of course, moved up to number 1. Texas went down to number 2. Ohio State 3. Tennessee 4. Georgia went to 5.
Yeah.
Did y'all watch the Oregon game? Against UCLA?
I haven't.
I mean,
Oregon
I
yet
just
this
watched
year.
the score. It was late as hell.
They look pretty impressive. Thoughts on the Miami game, the very end of it?
Did you see that?
Did you see that?
The fix was in.
Oh yeah,
It was
it was
obvious.
easy. It was
That was
easy
a
to
$20
see.
million call, man. They got to get a team into the playoffs. That whole conference is trash. Miami's only won halfway decent, and so of course you knew that call was coming the whole time when they went to replay. It's a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It reminded me so much of the Fail Mary from Packers and Seahawks. The same thing where one official goes touchdown, the other goes incomplete. It's like what the hell?
But the call on the field was a touchdown. How do you overturn it? Because the guy for Miami, I mean, for the guy for who was the other team? Why am I blanking here?
Virginia Tech.
The Virginia Tech wide receiver caught the ball. His butt landed inbounds, and then the Miami guy was out of bounds and punched it out of his hands. So isn't that illegal touching? You can't touch the ball once you're out of bounds, right? Is that illegal touching?
I think that's only for
offense, isn't it?
Because
like an offense, you got to let the defender touch it, and then you can touch it. I don't know about that.
But if you're your whole body's laying out of bounds, can you punch the ball out once you're laying out of bounds?
I don't know.
That's the one thing
you wouldn't think you could, because anybody on the sideline could do it.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if you're standing on the sideline, someone runs by and just punch it out as they're running. No.
Didn't somebody do that one time?
I mean, didn't
somebody got in the way or something? Wasn't it a coach?
It was Steelers head coach.
Yeah.
He got
Mike Thomas.
Mike Thomas still in the whole field. They watch the dude run straight
You
by.
gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Dude, yeah. That was funny.
Did they notice?
Miami. They gonna make sure Miami is gonna stay up there somehow. That was Virginia Tech got a little short end of that stick.
So what do y'all think? What do y'all think about Clemson being number 8 now?
It's trash.
Trash.
They don't need to be ranked, man. But again, they're one of those names. College football. Everybody knows college football has a certain name that we gotta keep. In the forefront for a little bit until things play out. So I think Clemson is just part of that ACC push that we got to keep them up there somehow. But
I see Clemson fans hyping their team up, and it's like, you blew out NC State. We did that too, and everyone said it wasn't impressive. You blew out App State. Okay, I mean, we put 60+ on every non-power team we play, and they're already saying Klubnik is like a Heisman contender now. I'm just like, you've not played anyone, and I guess you're not gonna. You're in the ACC. So what are we gonna do? What were you saying, Rainey?
I was about to say, I brought up Clemson. But I'm so sick of Penn State being in the top 10. Like, can we stop that? It's like the Notre Dame thing. Like, Notre Dame is number 16. They suck. Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame sucks. Penn State sucks. Like, Penn State is not good. Penn State's ahead of Ole Miss. And I get Ole Miss lost Kentucky, but I think head-to-head right there, Ole Miss would beat the piss out of Penn State.
Yeah.
I really think they would. And so you have Ole Miss at 10, Missouri is at 11. Missouri just doesn't look good at all.
They went down all the way to 11?
Yes, Missouri's at 11.
Did they lose? No, right?
No,
Were they off? Were they idle? I get that's crazy. They were like number 6 not too long ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I think.
And then
That's crazy.
But it goes back to the name thing. Like, Notre Dame's going to get a bump because it's Notre Dame. Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri.
Oh, and you went to overtime with
cares.
Vandy, though. You went to overtime with Vandy. That's hard to defend. Almost lost to Boston College. I think Missouri, I think could be great, but that's me and Byron.
And then you got the Storm and Mormons behind Missouri at 12.
Yeah.
You got them at 12. You got Kansas State at 13. What about Michigan number 14? Are they kind of reviving themselves, or?
Man, Michigan is skating by. USC should have beat them. They choked that one off. Lincoln Riley.
Michigan is some of the most boring football I've ever watched. It's
and they love it. They love it. They're proud of it.
Yeah, because on the when I was watching the game a couple weeks ago, they're like their fans love this nonstop running. I'm like, do they? Do they really?
Ain't no way.
Big Ten folks are different, man. They just, I mean, I still can't believe they won the title last year. Of course, they cheated their ass off, but whatever. The NCAA doesn't exist anymore, basically. So, what are we gonna do? All right, who's gonna take the trophy?
And all right, real quick to round out the rest of the top 15, you got USC. I think they're pretty decent. USC looks decent. Their offense is pretty good. Notre Dame is at 16. They don't even be in the top 25. Illinois, yeah, okay. Illinois is 17th. Indiana is 18th. Iowa State is 19th. Navy is 20. Navy deserves to be at 20, in my opinion, because they've beaten everyone they played.
Yeah,
and that's a hard offense to run and a hard offense to actually stay relevant. The offense they run, so
they need to be in a Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean,
fit right in.
Man, I can't believe they put Indiana all the way at 18. That is some respect right there. They've been blowing people out and not getting any respect, and I guess it finally clicked because that dude took all of his transfers from James Madison, and he's got him going, man. And I gotta give him to him. I remember we played Indiana in that bowl game a few years ago, and apparently they've never won a bowl game in their history. I didn't know that. They had the game wrapped up, and of course we came back and won. And I almost felt bad for beating those people, but so I kind of root for them in a little way. But yeah, it's
Are y'all excited for the 12-team playoffs?
Yeah. But then you got Brian Kelly and his family, and 21 at LSU, and then 22 is South Carolina, 23 is Boise State. Oklahoma's fallen to number 24, and Louisville's number 25.
Oklahoma fell and they won.
Are you sure?
I think they might have been. I must say this. They were
21.
So we're 21, so they fell to 24
for winning at Auburn.
Wow.
I mean, Auburn's been pretty bad. Auburn looks like crap.
Dude, Auburn pissed that game away. Pick 6 cost them that game.
Auburn is on life support with Hugh Freeze.
Auburn
life support.
There's teams that find ways to win games, and there's some that find to lose them, and that is what Auburn is right now. They could have a game fully wrapped up, bow on it, and everything, and they'll throw it out the window. It's amazing.
They've been like that for a few years, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're on the Plains. The Plains is a weird place that they can either be like miracle good.
Was it last year when they had Bama on the ropes, or the year before, and then they gave it up at the
2
end?
straight years? Yeah.
Yeah.
They had them I mean, heck, they lost to Jeremy Pruitt and Jarrett Garantano for God's sake. At home.
Yeah. I remember last year.
Since Cam Newton left.
Yeah, you're about right. Except for that miracle run they had under Gus.
No.
Oh, you played against them that year, didn't you? When they made the national title.
Yeah.
No, that was your report.
No, yeah, I came right. I came after.
No, I'm talking about when they made when they had that year where they beat. It was 2013 after the national title. It was Gus Malzahn's first year there with Nick Marshall at quarterback.
Oh, they got beat by Florida State. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when everyone started believing in Auburn Jesus with the kick 6.
Was that was the year that Tennessee had them? Was it Jacquez Smith who had that pick 6 in the Auburn game?
Yeah,
2013. That was it.
And
Jacquez came to us.
Yeah. They came to Tennessee, and Tennessee was looking pretty good, and then Auburn just kind of routed us a little bit. But we had hope at the very end of the first half because Jacquez, I think it was Jacquez Smith.
Jacquez Smith.
Had that pick 6.
Who's
but let's talk. Let's go ahead.
just going back to them, like, who was your like favorite teammate from back then?
Probably the couple that I was the closest with, still talk to, was Corey Miller and Rob Wilts, Prentice Wagner, basically all the DB guys. Me and Cordell Patterson, we still keep in touch every now and then. But really, probably the tightest was between C Mills and Rob Wilts and Pre-Wag and all those guys in our DB room.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that Prentice Wagner pick 6 against Vandy.
Oh yeah,
his shoe came off, and they said the whistle blew. It really did blow, but it kept going.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have blown the whistle. They knew it.
Yeah,
we got away with that one, but I don't care. Screw it. All right, but all right. So
the week after,
Tennessee is number 4 in the country, and I want to get your opinions, Byron, on this defense because you're a defensive guy, of course. James Pierce hasn't even done anything much this season. I mean, he has. He's gotten double teamed and caused a bunch of pressure from other sides of the field. But, man, he hasn't even gotten going yet. And this defense is one of the stoutest defenses I've seen since 2001, 2005 maybe. I don't know. Around that realm of defenses. But, man, I want to get your take on just this defense, man, because this defense is just unbelievable to watch from the front to the back to especially the linebackers. Linebackers, to me, is the biggest improvement on this entire roster because you got Keenan Peely, Arion Carter, and I want to get your take on this too. Well, I want to ask you this question too as well. I want to get your take on the defense, but I also want you – I know we got Arkansas this week, and I'm not overlooking them at all. But I saw Jalen Milroe run the ball like he did, and I think Arion Carter can really spy him and stop him. So I kind of want to get your take on this defense and that kind of that question right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said at first, just talking about JP, James Pierce. I've had a couple of guys tell me that too. Like, man, he ain't did nothing. I'm like, yeah, he ain't did nothing because you ain't seen him get all these sacks and stuff. But when you watch football, he's doing a lot. Like you said, he's taking on double team. That's freeing up the other guy. That's freeing up a backer. He's causing disruption in a different way that may not necessarily show up on a stat sheet, but it shows up as an impact. And when you play your role, and that's the biggest thing I see these guys do right now. Everybody, that front seven. When you got a front seven like that, like we have right now, that's getting pressures, getting back there, rotating. I mean, the depth that they have now, that's when you really got a special defense, and that's when it allows us in the back end to really be able to play because now that quarterback, he knows he got guys pinning their ears coming back to get him every single time, so he got to be quick with his decision making. He's eventually going to make a mistake, and that's when you just got to be in the right position at the right time to make a play on the ball. But definitely excited about what they've shown so far, and think they're only going to continue to get better. But it makes a huge difference. I think it's something we've been building up to the last 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, and finally are seeing the rewards of the recruits that's been brought in and developed, and the one that's came in from the portal, finally putting it all together up front and really being able to get after it, because we all know in the SEC that's where you're gonna win it at, is in the trenches. And if you can't play at the line, then you can forget about stopping anybody every week.
Byron, is it hard for you to watch a game? Like, do you scroll Twitter during a game?
Oh yeah.
Is it hard for you to not interact with people? I mean, because you've played, like you're seeing the game way differently than us three. Like, is that hard for you to not like argue and get into it with people?
Oh yeah, it's so many messages I start typing and I just say that it ain't worth it. Probably 100 times on Saturday.
Hang on. The biggest question: how many times have you done it to Austin? Where you just keep it and you just delete it
every time he says something.
Yeah, same. Hey, he'd make a good member of channel.
That'd be interesting.
God damn,
it's so hard. It's like
that's great.
I'm like, y'all have no idea what I'm just like, it ain't worth it. I just delete it and keep scrolling.
Thank God you weren't looking the Pruitt days. Good Lord.
Hey,
I've been some bad ones.
Byron, Byron, next time you're typing that tweet to Austin, hit send, bro.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Hit send.
Instant
No one will be
retweet for
fighting
me
on
and
my
Rainey.
side.
Yeah, I will spread that all over the world, man. Just hit send.
Hit him with that not so fast.
I love it.
So, Byron, what have you thought of the DB play last few years? Because I know Willie Martinez has really been scrutinized by our fan base. And one of the big things is, and it's from me too, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, is our DBs don't turn their head. What do you think about that? You think that's a big factor? I mean, obviously they look good this year, but the last few years it's been subpar.
Yeah, I've definitely seen an improvement. I'm like all y'all. I'm like, man, turn your head, and a lot of times it just goes back to your repetition. I'm sure. I know when I was with Willie, he was constantly worked it with us. So sometimes just don't always translate to the field. And I think finally you got a group of guys that's taking that coaching and translating it to the field. But I like what I see so far. I think there's times I'll be wondering why. It seems like we're playing, more zone sometimes. I'm like, we got the guy. Let's bump up now. So, but I'm not in the staff room. I'm not in the personnel meetings throughout the week to see what they see. And so obviously they're doing stuff for a reason. But it is. I'm like every fan out here that's saying the same stuff. But I definitely see It seems like we're attacking more now on the outside and getting more physical and getting more aggressive. So I think that goes back to having that front seven that you can be confident in is going to get back there to the quarterback. So it's a lot more easier to play defense when the quarterback is going to have some heat on him now.
What did you prefer to play, Byron? Did you prefer to play zone or man?
To me, I just like love playing defense. So I didn't really care, but now a lot of people don't really realize coming into college, I was corner and safety. So when I was at corner, obviously I wanted to play man, but at safety, I love being in zone, just roaming the middle third or cover too high and just playing off the quarterback eyes.
That's do you think you can judge our defense that well right now? Because let's be honest, we haven't really played much of an offense. Jackson Arnold was a mess at Oklahoma, and they just couldn't get anything going. And Grayson McCall and NC State have proven to be not a good football team. So do you think we can judge how good this defense is yet, or do we still need to play some games?
No, I think you can judge. I mean, based on what you see. I mean, at the end of the day, you line up against the schedule that was made for you. So you still got to look at the execution. What was it? 19 straight quarters or whatever that we had went without a touchdown. You look at the stats nationally. We're ranked on third downs and total yards given up, touchdowns, period. So I mean, at the end of the day, you're still playing D1 big time football. And it's your guys versus our guys, and as right now they're doing what they're supposed to do, and so that's what I tell everybody: you've done what you're supposed to do, and you got to just continue to build confidence, continue to work your craft, and knowing that it's going to get harder and harder the deeper you get into the schedule, and you just continue to fall back on your fundamentals and continue to trust the coaching that you're getting, and you go out there and you lay it all out each Saturday.
Yeah, it's wild because I don't know the X's and O's of football like you do, Byron. Like I don't know the ins and outs, X's and O's or anything like that, but I can watch a game and look at this defense and look at something else and be like, this is good. Like this defense is good. You can watch them play. It doesn't matter who it's against. Like this, the eyeball test says this is good. You can look at past Tennessee defenses and compare them to that, and it's a whole different level of. They're just better. They're deeper. They're more talented. They're faster. Yeah. Like Arion Carter again, bringing up his name again. He's just fast. Keenan Pilley wants to knock your head off. He wants to kill your grandma. Like he doesn't care. He wants to run over anybody that gets in his way. So watching this defense against, I don't care who the opponent is, it's different than what we've watched in the past. It's different.
Yeah.
And
it's
you want go ahead.
It's the comfort level too. You look at Tim Banks has been the guy since day one with hypo. People don't realize how much that makes a difference. Like I said earlier in the show, we was learning a new playbook every spring. That makes a big difference. Yeah, we had some great talent on our defenses, but when your mind is constantly thinking and you're constantly trying to learn, you're trying to put in new schemes every single year, it takes a toll on you mentally to be able to second guess yourself and not just go out there and play. Most of these guys now that's on defense and been there with Banks and Martinez pretty much, that they're comfortable now. They're talking the same language that they've been talking for the last few years, so it's not Spanish to them no more. These guys probably don't even look and barely looking at the playbook anymore because it's the same stuff. Now it's just a matter of getting better at your technique, getting stronger every season, getting faster, getting bigger, and just fine tuning the small steps. It makes a whole lot easier on guys to just go line up, and now you're just playing ball. Now you're not thinking, and that's what you're seeing. Guys is just out there playing ball now, and that's what the great teams have had, is that consistency that these schools don't give to these coaches anymore because they want to win now. And we don't win now, then we start all over again and don't realize you're just setting yourself back. Trust the journey and just keep the consistency, and it makes a big difference when it's the same coaches, use the same terminology every spring, every fall, that you can continue to build off of.
Yeah, and it goes back what you were saying when earlier in the podcast when you said you're like sending signs to your guys.
Mhm.
When you play together for a long time under the same system, it's almost like you can like look over and just kind of nod. Like are you seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah,
Mhm.
I do. And you don't have to even think about it. You just do it. And there's been so many times in the past Tennessee teams over the last, the Dooleys, the Pruitts, the Butches, where the defense is the amount of times I've screamed at my TV, stop overthinking. Like, you're overthinking. Quit overthinking and just do it.
Yep.
So I mean that kind of hits spot on right there.
I have one question. So like you were at Southern Cal for a year, right? And then you went
my freshman year.
JUCO and came to UT.
Mm-hmm.
So like you did the old school transfer out, and nowadays there's guys going to 4 schools in their career.
Yeah.
What's your take on all that and how different it is, if it's good or it's bad, or what do you think?
Well, definitely where they headed right now is horrible. I mean, it's hard. I don't see how these teams are able to, build any kind of teams really right now, because you're looking at basically a bunch of one and done every year when guys are just coming in, seeing if they like it and going right back out. So it's hard to build that team chemistry anymore. I think it's going to continue to get harder unless they get some kind of put some reins back in it. I think it's a right balance to have, to give the player the option to be able to look for opportunities. But at some point, there's got to be some kind of accountability on the players too. Like, hey man, you can't just keep switching up. You telling these schools you're gonna play, you get butt hurt over something the coach said, or you ain't getting your way right off the jump. I'm seeing all these articles come out, guys starting to redshirt because they was promised to start or said they was wanted to start. Like, back when I came up, you went to practice and you fought it out in your reps and you put it on tape, So I'm still that under that mindset is you don't be afraid to compete. It's the way I was raised and the way I will raise my boys, that if somebody's out there better than you, go prove why you better than them, and don't just go looking for handouts. But I know you got these instances where schools are getting in trouble and how it used to be. Well, like you said earlier, NCAA really don't is a thing anymore. But when you have schools like, for my instance, when USC came down with the violations, they let juniors and seniors transfer out. To me, that's a good reason to let somebody get out. So, but the way they got it now set up, I think is definitely no accountability anymore as far as the players sticking to commitments and being competitive and earning the spot, not just looking for handouts.
Doesn't that show you kind of a testament to kind of Josh Heupel? Because a lot of his people stick around.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his players, like, you watch the game against Oklahoma and you watch the way the players reacted, because the transfer portal has become a little insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was Kirk Street. I cannot remember who it was, but they kind of said the same thing of it's coming to the point where you got to build relationships with your players, and eventually they're going to take that relationship over the money.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like Josh Heupel has kind of built that up to where his players trust him. His players want to play for him, and you saw that in Oklahoma game. Like Brew McCoy could have gone anywhere. He came here. He stayed here. He got hurt, stayed here. Like Thornton didn't have the best of years last year, stayed here. I feel like it's a culture thing. Here at Tennessee with Heupel, and their players are staying here because they like playing for him. So I think that's kind of cool.
I think you look at the hot teams right now. You take the top 5 right now. You look at those programs. Those are all programs that are, they're dabbling in the portal a little bit each year, but they're still basically going through the high school route, developing people and instilling culture. And you look at the rest of the country, you basically just got a bunch of teams just trying to buy an all-star team every season right now. And
Florida State.
Florida State, yeah.
It's work or it don't work. And then, all right, this group didn't work. Let's go buy another group next portal season. So you can see where it's the difference in the top of the rankings versus the bottom half, and the teams that are still instilling that culture and relying on the relationships, and the coaches are still preaching development and all that stuff, versus the teams that are basically just trying to buy an all-star team for the year.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. It's my opinion. You can't not live in the portal, but you can't live in the portal. See, there's teams like Clemson where you got clear flaws on your team, but you can't really address them because you refuse to go to the portal, and you can't like throw a 4th-year guy in there. But like you look at like Tennessee, I mean, we did need help in the secondary, so we went out and got Jeremiah McCoy, and that was a great thing to get. That'd been better than just throwing a freshman out there who wouldn't have been as great. But you can't be like Florida State and just reloading your whole team. And then and when you reload your whole team like that, those are guys that have never been with each other, that don't really care for each other. And when things start going bad, they stop caring.
Yeah, they don't care.
Well, what does that entail, Byron, when you decide to enter into the portal? Like, is it just a whirlwind? Like, you got to tell you, like when you're at USC, like you went to your coach, like, hey, I'm leaving. Like, is your phone getting blown up with other schools? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so back then, before they had the portal, you had to go so I was there. That's when Lane Kiffin left Tennessee. He came out there. So I had to go to Lane, tell him, hey, I'm not really feeling no more. I think I want to look at other options. So back then, the school had to release you, and so Lane basically had the power. So at that time, in the back of my mind, I already knew I was just gonna go across the road to UCLA. 'Cause I still wanted to stay at home. And he said, well, you can go anywhere but UCLA. So right there, that's kind of put me in the mindset like, all right, well, how do I get around this? So that's when I went ahead and just went the JUCO route. Cause by going JUCO, basically, that freed me up from any release from the USC. I got to go through the recruiting process all over again. But now, yeah, I think it's pretty much somewhat the same. You had that conversation with them, then you enter the portal, and then basically you start going through the recruiting process. But pretty much everybody kind of knows. Everybody's already know where they going before they hit the portal. You've already had some kind of contact, or somebody in on your team and your family, whatever, has already been discussing and made the deal. The portal just is for the sake of the process at that point.
Was you nervous about approaching Lane? Because I know like how he looks on I don't know, I wouldn't say social media, but like his persona, he kind of seems a little abrasive to me and very petty and passive aggressive. So did that make you nervous to approach him?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think just because it was Lane, just going in and having that conversation period was nerve wracking. Just getting ready to tell the head coach, hey, I don't want to be part of your team here anymore. So yeah, it was definitely nervous. But once we started talking, he was actually a lot easier to talk to than what I was expecting the conversation was going to go. But he definitely made sure I wasn't going to just be able to drive down the road to UCLA easily.
Yeah.
So like
that time.
Which you can respect that.
So you see Lane now at Ole Miss, and the Tennessee fans are they're gonna come out and say like Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's gonna do that thing he does every year, which is why I put money on Kentucky this weekend and won money off Lane Kiffin. He has that game or two where he just blows it.
Yep.
And like him being your coach, what was that like? I know it was early in his tenure as a college football head coach, but what was Lane like as a head coach? And then I want to dive into to Dooley and Butch here to close out this podcast. But from Kiffin to Dooley to Butch, like what was that like?
Yeah, Kiffin, he was. I mean, he was basically what you see on TV. He's always been the same. I think he matured more, but as far as from his player to coach side, it was always been the same. He's down to earth, can relate to you. Loves talking trash. Very super competitive, especially with the offense. He's always talking trash to the defense. So it was fun. I mean, being around him. It was just at that time. I went to play for, Pete Carroll, was expecting to be there with Pete Carroll for 4 years, 3, 4 years, whatever. So once he left, it just wasn't the same for me anymore. But I'll keep in touch with him every now and then. Me and Lane on Twitter shoots messages back to each other in the DMs every now and then. So he's still cool. I've always, had nothing but good to say about him.
That's exactly what Jacquez Smith said, because we got to interview Jacquez Smith at Jamar Davis's camp. And he said the exact same thing about Lane Kiffin. Like, he was a down to earth. He's like, I like Lane.
Yeah,
I like Lane Kiffin. So, but moving on to the Dooley and the Butch. I know DR's got some questions he would like to ask about that, but it kind of explained that trajectory of going from JUCO to Dooley. Like, how in the hell did Dooley persuade you to come there?
Yeah, Dooley, man. Dooley's my guy, man. That's actually when we had Wilcox. Wilcox was the DC. So he had West Coast ties. So like literally Wilcox was out there almost weekly. He would show up. Me and my brother was just talking about this the other day. He would show up with his 5 guys because he loved 5 guys. He'd show up. Sometimes I wouldn't even know he was coming for a visit. He'd just be knocking. Hey, it's Wilcox. I'm like, oh, he here again. So I give it to Tennessee. They came hard. They put the full court press on from start to finish. And once I got the visit to Knoxville, I was sold. And that was my first visit out of the 5. And I think after that, I went to where was it? In JUCO, I went Tennessee first, then Oregon State, Ole Miss, Ohio State, and Miami. And so it was really between Tennessee and Miami because when Miami had hired their new coach, Al Golden, at the time, and then Pete Carroll's son, Brendan Carroll, he had got on staff, so I had familiarity with him. So like a group of us from Cali went out there. Miami's a whole nother level, so I was going there for sure, probably. But then after thinking through the best decision, I chose Tennessee. But I loved everything about Dooley and the staff and Wilcox and what they presented and how they showed me love and was genuine. And so it was a decision I made that I was, happy to make and felt good about. And it was, everything I expected when I did get there. They never changed up. They everything they said in recruiting was exactly how it went. Obviously we would have loved to win more games, but from the standpoint of what they sat in, the living room and talked to me about, it was, they kept all their words and everything. So
was Wilcox your main recruiter then?
Wilcox, and then my DB coach Terry Joseph at the time. He would talk basically them main two, but yeah, Wilcox was pretty much the lead.
So what intrigued you about Dooley? Like you're talking about you. I don't know how to ask this. Like, he just seems like a goofy dude, and like that's so amazing to me. Yeah, like is that what intrigued you to him, that he was different? Did you like?
I think just different?
Did you like that he was different and made it seem more genuine?
Yeah, I think that was more so. You could tell, like, you got coaches that come in and try to be, all buttoned up, and it's like, for me, the way my personality is, I want you to be you. And if you can't be you, and I feel like I'm talking to a salesman, then I'm automatically stop listening. So that's where a lot of recruiters, kind of turned me off over the years. As soon as I got that salesman feeling, then I was done. But Billy, from day one, was just, like you say, he's goofy. It's just him. One of his biggest things when he comes to your house for a visit, he want to see your room. And I thought that was so weird. But then,
really?
But he's doing it for a reason. He's trying to see, what kind of person are you? Your room picked up, are you organized? So I was like, I always thought that was interesting. That's always stuck with me, that he did that on the visit, because everybody pretty much, went straight to the living room, sat down, did their presentation, ate, and was out of there. But Dooley was all around the house chilling, like he lived there.
No, one question real quick before I want to get into Butch because you said salesman, so I want to get into that. But when I think of Dooley, I think about I drove down to Mississippi State to watch y'all play Mississippi State at Mississippi State, and he comes down the ramp in a wheelchair.
Oh man. My God,
like what were y'all thinking? Like I'm as a fan, I'm like, where's Dooley? And then the team runs out, and then he's coming down the ramp in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, this dude right here, and he's on the sideline on a stool with a cane.
Yeah. We was just like, man, what's going on here? Our coach is handicapped right now. Like, just stay in the press box, man. Just stay in the press box. It already was going bad for us at that point. Like, it's just it on.
Those pictures that came out were the funniest thing of him just being wheeled down a ramp at Mississippi State, and he just looks like he's miserable.
Yeah.
So funny.
I remember it was one game. I forget. Whenever the first week that all started, like with him being on crutches or in a wheelchair, it happened. We had a game on Saturday, nothing. It was fine. Then it was either a Sunday morning, Monday morning we came in, he's limping, and we like, what the heck happened to you that fast? And then after that, it was the canes, the crutches, the wheelchair. I was like, oh man, my dog's falling apart.
It's a bad last year, man. So, I mean, I just be real. Did y'all kind of get the vibe that it might be over for him?
Oh yeah, you know as a team when it's coming. It was just a matter of time. We like, damn, they about to get rid of my dog.
Yeah. What is that like? What is that like, Byron? Like, if you know it, like you seem to like Dooley. Like, did you made y'all play harder, or you're like, man, we're not going to listen to you. You're not going to be our coach here soon anyway. So what does it matter?
No, I mean, we still played, up until they finally made the decision. But I mean, it is in the back of your mind. So I'm sure, I can't speak for everybody. I'm sure it was some people that kind of probably took that mindset, like, oh, he's about to be out anyway. But for me personally, I can speak for me that I still played the same no matter what. But I wasn't no fool. I knew the days was numbered. We kept coming. It was a matter of when. And so, but no, for me personally, now once he did leave, everybody, I mean, you got assistants that stick around, the strength coaches, they still trying to do everything. And you just like, man, I ain't trying to hear right now. Y'all probably about to be going too. So once the head man goes, then everybody does kind of take that mindset, like, all right, wait and see who's gonna be next in here.
So what is that like when Dooley got fired? Did y'all know first, or did y'all read it on social media? I know Twitter was kind of new back then, or did he address y'all, and what was that like?
Yeah, I think we had a team meeting late at night. They sent out the message. I can't remember if it had already kind of hit social media yet or not. I think it may have already hit. So they sent out a team meeting, a emergency meeting, so everybody round up. So once you get that, you kind of already know what they about to say, and that's when the AD at the time, I think was it Hart? So he came in. Yeah, he came in. And I don't think he didn't let Dooley speak to us, so he just came in and told us what the deal was, and then we went on and they started the search.
Did y'all hit? Oh,
I think they made Chaney. I think we had one game left. Then we was Kentucky or somebody. Chaney.
Yeah, he won. Y'all won that game.
Chaney.
Yeah.
He's the best winning percentage.
Yeah, because at that point everybody was like, let's go out with a bang. Let's not, so we
Kentucky still can't beat us.
Yeah. I did. I will tell you a funny story after Chaney got that, so we was like, all right, it's the last week. We go take over. So it was I think Tuesday we were supposed to be in full pass. We came out in just helmets. We were like, man, we ain't full pass today. We're going helmets. We came out, man. They sent us back to the locker room so fast. They're like, you go put your stuff on.
Dude,
and we still beat Kentucky.
No, dude, can you imagine being a Kentucky fan? Everything is lining up perfect for them, and they're like, "Oh, Tennessee! Oh, they They suck. Their coach is getting fired, and they fire them the week before. Y'all play them, and they're like, "Oh, damn it!" Like,
I think they fired Joker Phillips after that game.
Yeah,
You
So it was like a
you still got to play for some pride and keep face.
So y'all didn't like this is gonna get clipped out because we got Kentucky fans I mentioned a lot. So y'all didn't really take them that serious that week because it was Kentucky, and you're like, "Well, our coach is gone, so what does it matter?"
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, once the head man get fired, everybody's kind of like doing their own thing. We was like, hey, it's a free week basically, but like you said, we still came out there balling and beat them.
Yeah.
I think probably because as a mindset, you feel all this pressure coming that the coach is getting all this heat, and so when it does finally happen, it's like, all right, well, it finally happened, it's over, we can move forward. So it kind of was almost like the weight had, the elephant in the room was removed, the weight off the shoulders removed. So it's like, now we're just playing for each other at this point.
So what you're saying is we want Billy Napier to keep his job until the Florida game. Keep that pressure on, man.
Yeah.
I want y'all tighter than hell.
So have you heard from Dooley since he was fired?
I ain't heard from him in the last few years now. Like right after we had some messages and conversations. Then like I think when he was with the Cowboys at one point, I talked to him a little bit at that point, but I ain't heard from him in a while.
Where's he at now?
I don't know.
I don't know where he's at.
The Giants for a minute.
He was at Alabama the last time I heard. I don't know now if once Saban retired.
The radio, according to the radio, he's not coaching anymore.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a minute. But Byron, I'm going to close out the podcast with this, and I want to get your take. We're going to all give our predictions on Arkansas. But the transition from Dooley to Butch. Austin mentioned, you mentioned actually, Byron, used car salesman earlier in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He is the definition of a used car salesman. Butch Jones is. I mean, he's just the biggest moron I've ever seen coach football in my life. Had no idea what he was doing. He had great talent, but didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
What was you played 1 year under him?
Yeah, just my last year.
Okay, so what was that like? I mean, a lot of people say, because we interviewed Jacquez Smith, and he said the same thing. Like, I didn't have much to say for him because it was my last year, and I was kind of checked out, and I just kind of left. So what was that like transition from Dooley to Butch? Like,
yeah. So I mean, when Butch first came in, I think he started out strong. Obviously when something's new, breath of fresh air, everybody is gravitates to him. And so I actually my senior year, I tried to do as much as I can for him. I even was taking it upon myself to help recruit. I almost became kind of like the point man as far as the host for when we had all the different visits. That year, that's when we was going after Todd Kelly, Jalen Hurd, Cam Sutton. All those guys was in my dorm room every other weekend. Because I was hosting them and making sure they was having a good time and trying to get them to come. Because I wanted to leave the program better. So I was doing my part as far as that goes, and as far as what he was selling in the beginning, and I was bought into it. I think a lot of people was bought into it. Then I think as time went on and he started getting exposed in areas and not really, trusting the people around him and being too much of a micromanager. I think that's what ultimately got him and not letting people, be themselves and wanting to have too much control. I think once he started, you could tell once he started that Knoxville media heat, once that got to him, it was a wrap. I knew then that he wasn't gonna make it, because if you can't handle the heat from the media, you start going after them, then you done lost all complete focus. But once kind of the honeymoon phase wore off, then you kind of started to see like, all right, you just selling a used box of dreams at this point.
So you knew in 12 games with him he wasn't going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I knew when he went for one against Florida in 2015.
Yep. 15.
I was at that game, and I remember screaming to the entire crowd of my entire fan base that surrounded me, "Congratulations, we just lost this game." And everyone turned around to me and they're like, "Oh, we're fine." I'm like, "No, we just lost this game. It's just common sense math here." And we lost the game. That is the exact moment I knew that dude was a dumb as a brick by brick.
Yep.
Like just
Yeah.
he was dumb.
Yeah.
He just had like a one track mindset. He was good. He might have been good at like program building, but outside of that, the game he just never got football. In my opinion, you could tell it with how. I mean, I think Josh Dobbs wasn't even allowed to make changes at the line of scrimmage. It was just micromanaged to the core.
Yeah.
So Byron, you were talking about you like Dooley because he was so goofy and unique. Your first impression with Butch, I remember that video that Vol Football tweeted out. Like, what did you think? Like, oh God, here we go again, or like, did you buy in because he was a good salesman at first before because he hadn't coached at it in big ball like you'd been used to playing at.
Yeah, like I said, when he first got there, after the first few meetings, like I said, I bought into it. Obviously I was like trying to finish off my career with a bang, and at that point I still had aspirations of trying to get to the next level. So, and I was coming off, probably my best year ever in college, my college career. I think I was like second in the nation in picks and second on team in tackles. So, going into that senior year, I was, I didn't need no extra motivation. It was just a matter of, all right, this is the next man up that's leading the program. Let me get behind them as one of the seniors and keep this ship going and get us on track for this last season that I'm about to have. So, as far as, like I said, as far as me, I was bought into him. I was always, always gonna respect whoever's in charge and try to be behind them and try to help push whatever the message is, and whether I agree with everything or not. As one of the leaders on the team, it was my job to try to help get everybody all on the same page. So that's how I kind of approached it.
You had a big win that year, your last year, South Carolina. Was that probably your favorite game to play in? Because that's one of my favorite games I've seen in Neyland. Now, it's not better than like Bama in 22, obviously,
Yeah.
and OU 15 and Ole Miss in 21 was great. But was that probably your favorite game to play in?
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was definitely a fun one. So
It was
we
loud.
enjoyed that one. Yeah, that was the one. That was the one we had the block punt too, wasn't it? And then
Clowney got
thing was loud.
ejected. Yeah, Clowney got ejected, and the fans started chanting "F you, Clowney." It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great game, man. That was the loudest. I was at that game. That was one of the loudest games I've heard in a long time, man. And it was crazy. And we mentioned this earlier in the podcast about the crowd, but I really think the crowd affected South Carolina in that game. I really do think that crowd really got in their head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but to close out this podcast, let's make our predictions for the Tennessee-Arkansas game. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've got one more question, Byron. I've got to ask. So, for a buddy of mine, he's a really big fan of yours. I mean, I remember when you were recruiting all those players, because I remember that was the early stages of Twitter, and you just seemed to be very proactive on Twitter. You had a lot of followers compared to your teammates. But he was wanting to know, what was the most devastating moment for you as a player, and what was the greatest moment as a player for you?
Devastating moment, I would just say, like, just getting toward the end of each year of them 3 years and could never get that 6th win to get to to a bowl game. And then greatest moment, I would say greatest moment probably was always just the being how we was embraced by Vol Nation, and whether we win or lost, we had the ones that was in our messages, make sure we heard about it. But no matter what, no matter where you went, the Vol Nation just always still behind you, and that was part of the reason why I stuck around after I did, and continued to choose to live in Tennessee. It's just that fan base and the passion behind it, will always be have a special place in my heart.
So what happened
awesome,
your
man.
last year, Byron? Like, did you got signed as an undrafted free agent? Like, where did your football career go from your last game at Tennessee?
Yeah, so I actually before I got to the final game, in my mind I had already made my decision that I was kind of burnt out, after playing through that season. And the things that happened, I ended up started. I went from, like I said, I came off my junior year, one of my best college careers ever. And then, new staff comes in. So, they start pushing different agendas. Obviously, they're starting to look more to the future. So you get a little bit of that, the older guys kind of get pushed to the side a little bit. They start developing. So, I start splitting time and, wasn't really a full time starter and just kind of see the business aspect of it and just kind of got burnt out and didn't have the love of the game anymore. So once I didn't really like try to go pro or go to the combine or anything. I graduated and got my degree and I went on about my business and got into the work world. So I don't really have no regrets on it. I've played in a lot of big time games from the time I was little to being in Tennessee. So I got my fair share of the sport and I feel like I gave it all I had. But I knew in my heart that I would be doing a disservice to myself to try to keep going to the next level, and doing something that I really wasn't passionate about anymore and didn't love anymore. So I didn't even attempt to go after the end of the season.
Yeah. So one quick question, real quick. Why did you get burned out? Like, what burnt you out?
I think just the it was just a build up of the different coaching styles every year. Just the learning a new playbooks, the all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people really don't see, and just the constant changes is like you get tired of adapting to it and trying to figure out like, all right, this coach wanted it this way, now we got this guy in, he wants it this way. It's like, all right, man, it's just mentally drained. And like I said, I was fortunate to have my college degree paid for and on full scholarship. So not many people get to do that. I played on one of the biggest stages in sports, in the SEC, and so I was just at peace with it. I just woke up one day like, I think this is it, And so once I kind of had that decision made, I told my family about it, and then I was at peace with it. But I think it was just a culmination of just all the
Mhm.
changes over those years, and I was left USC for certain changes, coaching change, and then I get to Tennessee, and it still was happening. I'm like, dang, I just got
Yeah.
worse luck picking coaches, But like I said, all in all, I still enjoyed it. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Met a ton of great people. Still know a lot of them. Still keep in touch with them. I'm at where I'm at today because of some of them. So it's an experience like no other. So when I'm talking to kids now and talking to some of the recruits that hit me up every now and then, I'm like, hey, don't. Football's only a short term thing. Make sure you're talking to them kids in your classroom. I seen a little message on there earlier about somebody in the class. Talk to those people in your class. Talk to them people on campus because
Yeah.
no matter how good you are, at some point it's going to end, and you're going to need those connections to continue moving on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
One last question. When Wilcox left, do you think that is the reason everything derailed with Dooley? Do you think if he stuck around that year
Good
2012 could have been
question.
a little better?
Man, I tell
Good,
people to this
good
day,
question.
that same thing. I said, I always wonder had Wilcox never left, and we had that next year because that would have been like year three for most of those guys that I played with in that system, and I always say I think it would have things may have went different,
Y-
because you look at the system we was in 4-3, you had all the pieces, everybody was pretty much returning. I was basically really the only newer guy that came in. It was me and Isaiah Lanier was the two big corner pickups whatever, and that came in my class before, and so everybody else pretty much was returning, and so you would have had basically what we're seeing now, like I talked about that consistency. We go from a 4-3 to Sal brought in a 3-4. We didn't have the right edge rushers, didn't have the right linebackers to play that style. We didn't have the right coaching of it because they basically just brought it in and said, "Here's the playbook." He literally just brought over Alabama's playbook, photocopied it, brought it over, and said, "All right, here's what we're running." But
mhm. Yeah.
it wasn't
God.
it wasn't the same level of teaching
Jesus.
that I'm sure Nick Saban is giving to him, the Kirby Smarts is giving to him. So it wasn't the same style of teaching just to say, hey, go run this and be like them. So people don't understand that, that made a big impact. And like you said, I say to this day, I think Dooley would at least maybe not still be there right now, but I think he would have got a little longer stay had Wilcox not left, and that defense would have never
Yeah.
changed.
That
Because
whole
that
South
2012 offense was elite. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you had basically one of the top officers coming, and so all you need defense just needed to just stop somebody.
Yeah,
Who knows what Dooley's career looks like right now?
I always tell people all the time too. It's like Dooley's that offense was. You shouldn't have to score 40 points a game to win.
No.
And so like when they brought in Sal Sinceri, is what you were just saying. That you completely swap from a 4-3 to a 3-4.
Yep.
Like you can't do that.
Yep.
Like you don't have the players
Yep.
to match what he wants to do.
No.
It just screws everything up. So
no.
Like Tennessee, that one game, Tyler Bray, I can't remember exactly the game, but I think it was against Georgia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who it was, but y'all scored like 45.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to come to me like, and I was like, how many points does Tennessee score? 45.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they won. No, they didn't win.
Yeah.
They did not. They did not win.
Yep.
Overtime? No.
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 Well, I remember that year the Missouri game was
points.
the one. That was the game I wanted Dooley fired because we had 50 seconds left, 2 timeouts, best offense in SEC, and he elects to go to overtime. I think Heupel was the OC for Missouri that game.
He was.
No, he coached at Butch. He was at Missouri, or he was at Oklahoma then. So
Oklahoma?
Yeah, he was at Oklahoma until 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know that 2012 year. A lot of people that I've heard like on the radio and stuff. It's the what would have been had we kept Wilcox. A lot of people thought we'd won the East and went to the SEC championship that year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I think things would have been a lot different, and so that's like I said, that's always been my what if scenario. If when people ask about that, I said I would love to have seen what we would have did had Wilcox stayed, and so like I said, when people don't understand the difference in terminology, that 3-4, it's an intense defense, and every single thing the offense can come out in. No matter what you call them defense, there's 5-6 different checks, and so it's a lot of moving pieces that we just didn't have enough time to get comfortable with, and so when you got guys already DNs, you're trying to make them run with slot receivers as an outside linebacker now. It ain't gonna work, and it was just we played slow because we back there talking half the time because we was trying to get lined up and switch the calls and do all this stuff. It's not a good recipe for your defense when you're thinking so much.
It's a shame because y'all had talent on that defense that year.
Mm-hmm.
I was very surprised. I don't mean to keep making the podcast last longer. This is my last question. You can't say Cordell Patterson. Who was the most talented player you played with, Byron, whether it be at USC that 1 year or Tennessee the other 3 years?
That's a good question.
Who? I can't say CP.
Nope.
I would say
he's cheat code. You can't say that.
Yeah. He was a cheat code.
That's an easy answer.
God.
Yeah, I would say probably I would go to my USC team, Joe McKnight. R.I.P. to Joe McKnight. He was killed, but yeah, he was like gonna be the next Reggie Bush. And he did some things in practice. We used to be like, man, how did you do that? You talk about the quick twitch, the elusiveness, the speed, the breakaway, the ankle breaks. He was a special player too.
He played for the Jets for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jets. Yeah, yeah.
He got hurt, and he was hurt, and then he was at home rehabbing. And I think it was like some kind of road rage incident or something. A guy said he cut him off, and the guy pulled up to the next light and just opened fire on him.
Golly, that's insane.
We're talking
about CP too, man. I remember that NC State game. My daughter was born that night. That was his coming out party. But honestly, that was one of your better games.
Yeah,
that night.
Yeah,
that whole defense was like 4 picks or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, played great, and that's why I was hopeful for that year. I was like, dude, we're gonna do something this year.
Yeah, after that game, we were like, okay, we about defense kind of iffy, but we may be all right. Then things went how it went.
But y'all's the defense that game had what 4 turnovers, 5 turnovers?
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because Kurt
that was
Magid,
a turnover party that game.
Kurt Magid had that strip sack and a touchdown in the end zone. You had a pick.
Yeah, I had a pick. Prentice had a pick. I think somebody else had a pick too.
It was number 23. Who was he?
Wagner.
Yeah, that was
Wasn't it
Prentice.
Wagner?
And
Yeah.
then I
Wagner.
think somebody else had. Didn't Eric Gordon or somebody have one? I think.
No,
I think
it
Eric
was
Gordon.
no Eric Gordon. You had a pick. Eric Gordon had a pick, and Wagner had a pick,
Yeah,
and the turf monster got Wagner.
Yeah.
He tripped.
Yeah.
He tripped. He tripped right on the middle of the field. He could have had a pick six. He just fell over.
He was rolling.
He was rolling. All right, but yeah, that was good. That was fun stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, let's close out this podcast, guys. Prentice, thanks for coming. Prentice. Byron, thanks for coming on, bud.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, but let's close out this podcast. What are your score predictions for the Arkansas game this weekend in Fayetteville? Arkansas, Tennessee is a 13.5 point favorite. I believe that line will go down just a tad before the game starts. But Austin, we'll start with you, then DR, myself, and then B Moore. You'll go.
Arkansas, I think it's going to be the best offense we've faced so far. That Taylor Green looks pretty damn good, but he's turnover prone, so that's part of it. But it's going to be the best defense they've seen all year. So I'm going to go Tennessee 45, Arkansas 27.
45-27. All right, go DR.
Okay, that's close to my score. We're definitely covering. I was going to say 48-27. I think that it's going to kind of be like what I thought the Oklahoma game would be like. I think they're going to score in us first half, but our depth on defense is just – it's going to be too much for a lot of teams. I don't think they're that good a team. I think our depth's going to be too much for good teams we face. But 48-27, I think we coast second half.
The defense for Tennessee is just too much. Like you said, also the turnover prone from the quarterback from Arkansas. I was looking at his stats earlier, and he has a lot of turnovers, interceptions. I think the defensive line for Tennessee is going to feast on him and make him make a lot of mistakes. And our defensive backfield is going to have a feast. I think he's going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times. And I think Tennessee 39-20. I think Tennessee's going to, and it's not going to be that close. It's going to look closer than it actually is. But 39-20 Tennessee, because Josh Heupel last week proved that he can muck it up if he has to. He can muck it up and make you make mistakes for his team to win. But I think there's going to be a lot more offense in this game than the Oklahoma game. 39-20 Vols. Byron, what you got, man?
Well, people was kind of upset over how we won the last week. Hyper went ahead and shut it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I tell everybody, win is a win. You got to get it how you get it on the road in a hostile environment. So I say Hypo's going to come out swinging this week. And he's going to let that thing air out. And I'm going Vols 48. Arkansas, I'm going to give them 7. That's what I'm rolling with. Defense gonna let it roll, baby.
I like that one.
Lock it in.
Lock it in, baby. Lock it in. Lock it in. But man.
You still got some fire from that 2011 game, man.
Yeah.
Getting payback. Getting payback for that punt return.
Let's see them hogs. Let's see them hogs all sad.
Whoa. We're not doing that, Austin. We're not doing that.
Austin, we know you're a fan of the Florida Gators. We know you're a fan of several teams. But we're not doing that again.
We're not looking at hogs on this podcast, Austin. Yeah. Chill out,
okay? All right, Byron. Go ahead, Austin. Go ahead.
They know what they're called, but whatever.
Hey.
Thank y'all for having me on, man. We're gonna do this again sometime.
Yeah, Byron,
I had a blast.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Byron, I can't say enough. I'm not gonna say it just because you're on here, but you really was a bright spot. You were talking about how you were recruiting like TK Jr. and Hurd and all them. I do remember that. I'd first just gotten on Twitter, and you were really big on there. And I think about you, Marquez North, Juwan Jennings, a few others. Like I just wish y'all would have had more wins.
Oh yeah,
as a player for Tennessee, I think y'all deserve that, especially for what y'all brought to the program.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's great. We got to get you down for a game though, and you can stop by the tailgate, man.
Yeah,
you need to experience kneeling. It's only a 2-hour drive, man. 2-hour show.
I will.
You've been in Nashville.
I'll be there.
Nashville for 2 years, and you haven't been in Neyland. Come on, man.
Oh,
Come on now.
I know it was a hard place at times, but
Byron, I live in Jackson. I can
It's a little
swing
better
through,
now.
pick you up. We'll take
Yeah.
you to the tailgate, and I'll drop you
There we
back
go.
off.
There we go. We're going to set it up there. Y'all
Heck.
can convince me to get there.
Oh, you better, son. All right, well, all right, Byron, stick with us real quick after the podcast. But
All right.
it's been a great podcast. Enjoy everything we've done this podcast. Thanks for coming on, Byron. It's been a heck of a podcast. We'll do it again real soon, actually next week. But anyway, good night. Go Vols. God bless. We will see you again next week.